Okay, so I'm going to make a quick guide today on how to check the torque sensor in the steering rack itself, not the steering angle sensor, which is located just behind the steering wheel attached to the clock spring. So if you're getting problems with the steering wheel being stiff to turn to one side, but it's not as much of an issue with the other, there isn't as much resistance, it's going to be worth checking the torque sensor values. It's referred to PIDs during the diagnostic process. They're the values you're looking for. So start the car up, plug a OBD2 adapter in, ELM 327, with the switch for HSMS. If it doesn't have the switch, you might not be able to access some modules, because Mazda use MS protocol for some of the modules in the car, but the electric power steering we should be able to access, which is on the high speed CAN network. So yeah, start the car up, plug the adapter in. I'll be using forescan today. So once we start it up, you might need to install the driver for your adapter. The adapter I've got isn't recommended for the car. It's one of them £20 eBay ones. There's some more expensive ones that have more functions on this, but I mean, for most of the diagnostic work and reading values, this is good. It just tends not to be able to write as many values to the car or control as many values. So it says found recorded profiles for similar vehicle, because I've connected to this car before, once it's established connection. So I'm going to load the selected profile, and then it's going to scan through all the modules. This vehicle may contain MS CAN modules. Does your ELM adapter have a switch? So this adapter does have a switch. Basically, that will allow us to access the other modules that aren't covered by the high-speed CAN. So flip the switch. Okay, and that's your instrument cluster is on the MS CAN. So there's some error codes coming up here. So I'm going to clear them first. So I'm just using my phone for this video, so it's not the best. But yeah, if you go on DTCs, this will give you error codes. It's got all your different modules here. RCM, driver frontal stage 1 deployment control. When I was wiring in the steering wheel, because I put facelifted steering wheel on the pre-facelift, when I was doing the wiring, I had to disconnect the airbag, and basically when I had the airbag disconnected, I was doing the wiring, because the wiring's behind the airbag, so that's why I've got that code. Body control module, BCM. Intrusion sensor module, because it split. It was like that when I got the car. It's quite hard to actually find a light. Lost communication with radio. The instrument cluster's down to the battery, and then we've got a tyre monitor. Warnings for the TMPS. There's no actual sensor in my wheel, so that's pretty normal. But yeah, you can actually, once you've read the DTCs, you can click this button here, clear them. You'll have to flick the switch to access both modules. So flick the switch. Okay, and then it'll start loading all the modules again as it clears the codes. And you've got to cycle the ignition, as with any time you can't clear any error codes. So I mean, I've got the car running because I don't want to flatten the battery. And then flick the switch again. And just click OK. I've got some codes that have stayed on. This camera's not the best. So that's my intrusion, lost communication with radio, and then the lost communication with side obstacle detections, because I've fitted RVM, rear view monitor, into the car. I haven't finished wiring that up yet. And then invalid data received, which was from when I put the facelifted speedometer in, which has slightly different wiring. I need to do some modifications to that, because the instrument cluster's throwing up a code, because that's programmed for the lighting control module, but because the wire's changed, it's not receiving the signal. So yeah, so now I'm going to move on and show you how to essentially view the PID data, the values for the torque sensor. So if we go on the graph here, and click the settings button, show all gauges, got your different modules here. We'll be looking for EPS, electronic power steering, and then, I mean, mine's still got it saved from when I last looked, but essentially you're looking for steering shaft torque 1, steering shaft torque 2. Okay. I mean, some of them I've got more information on others in regards to what the actual values mean. Most of them are pretty self-explanatory, or you can access the workshop manual and it'll tell you essentially what the value is for. But yeah, we're looking for SS torque 1, SS torque 2. And then we want to click the tick. Okay, so, and then we want to click this play button at the bottom. And then we need to switch back to the high speed CAN bus. Click OK. Right, now when you move the wheel, you'll get two different values. So they're in Newton meters. Essentially, when we straighten the wheel out, my tracking's about ready to be done anyway, because I've done the upper control arm, so it might be slightly out anyway. But yeah, what we want really is close to 0, 0 when the wheel's centered. Mine tracking slightly off again, so but I don't have any problems with the steering. Regards to being tighter one way than the other on this particular car. But yeah, as we move this, you'll see that when the wheel stops in a spot, it gets the value pretty much goes back to 0, because the idea of the torque sensor is to measure how fast you turn in the steering wheel. So the faster it turns, the quicker them values are going to move. Yeah, when the wheel's still, we should be looking for, as I say, 0, close to 0 on them values, like so. 0 and 0.1 flickering to 2 hasn't caused a problem on this particular car. So yeah, so when you're done, pause at the bottom, go into settings. You can control the values as well, but that is very dependent on your diagnostic adapter you're using. As I say, this one's not fully supported, it's a cheap one, but it does read the functions as you've seen. The data, it just can't really control them. So if I go on electric power steering control. It's coming up blank. This is because this adapter isn't capable of doing it. But you'll find you may be able to do it depending on what adapter you have. So when you're on electronic power steering and you click control, you may get the ability to control the offset. So you can add an offset, which is similar to calibrating in a way, but the best long-term fix for the problems with the steering rack would be to replace the actual torque sensor itself. But you can put an offset on there if you want, because it's a fairly big job for most people to pull the steering rack off. So, but yeah, if we go on powertrain control module, engine control module, whatever you like, go on control, you can see there's a lot of stuff you can control on here that we couldn't control on the power steering module. As I say, it's very dependent on your adapter what you can and can't do. So like on the restraint control module, there's nothing to control. I mean, I don't think there's a lot on there you can mess with anyway, because that's for your airbag system, restraint control system. Body control module, control. This adapter can't do anything on that. Instrument cluster. Let's have a look. There's a few bits on the instrument cluster. Speedometer. Okay, so if we do that. The only thing you've got to be careful with is you may get freezes or crashes if you start selecting a load of different modules at once and trying to control a load of different modules. So yeah, as you can see, speedometers now appeared. So again, to get on that menu, click play. Make sure you click play, otherwise it won't work. Then you click this button here, which is control, and you can essentially change things like, you can set the speed, so 120 kilometers an hour. This is a UK right-hand drive car, so my speedometers, the main portion's miles per hour, not kilometers. That's why it's only showing like 88. But yeah, there's some useful things you can mess around with on here. Warning lights and indicator lights. Boom. You can turn them all off. Essentially, that's what you're going to be doing with your torque sensor. You're going to be using this control menu. As I say, my adapter don't support it, so I can't physically do that. But it's the same menu and the same option I showed you. You just need to click the control category and select it, just as you would with the, when you're checking the torque sensor like I showed you earlier. You'll be doing the same thing, but you'll click control, and then from this menu you'll be able to control your torque sensor. But that's all for now. Essentially, I recommend, if you are going to use forescan, to use a better adapter and look on the supported adapter list, because you do get them extra features. They'll come in use. So yeah, thanks for watching.